Let's look at wardrobe artists at work. Here we have an example of the woman who's designing the wardrobe for one of Alfred Hitchcock's movies. Looks almost like something from Vertigo. But let's get to a contemporary artist. Let's look at designer Casey Storm, who designed the wardrobe for Spike Jonze's futuristic Her. He had an idea here where he would uh, take the modern metropolis and have it reflected with a wardrobe that has smaller collars, higher waistlines, a throatier look, a subtle look. He didn't want to be overly futuristic and cliched with the Star Trek, Star Wars type of thing. He wanted the future to look real, like it's going to take place almost the way he envisions it. And so he does the subtle changes. His idea of the future is that you're going to have more options, but he didn't want a sterile, cold future. He wanted a warm future. So he wanted things that are more organic and eco-friendly. And so he did a little research here. You can see him in his office where he's got the wardrobe rack and all the shelves of the different items that we need for emergency fix, the thread, the zippers, the Velcro. And it's this basically Casey at work as he starts researching and designing the movie with the help of Umberto Leon and the people who already did the comic strip blog. So he's all working together here to establish the look, but he wants that look, as he talks to Spike Jonze here, he wants that look to be a warm look, and he wants a color palette in this movie to be orange, yellow, and red. So he wanted the warmth and emotional colors for the future, no matter what we see in a high-tech way. He thinks that the future is going to have more options for dress. So it's a comfortable wardrobe for the future here. Nothing that looks really too tight, too stretched, or too clumsy. So his main character is Theodore, and this guy, he's just an average guy, and so he wants him to look comfortable, not uptight. So he's a little disassembled, like clashing, but it's got the high waistline, the open collar, and so it's just a difference enough to see that we are in the future, but still it's particular to the movie. Here's Amy Adams' character. Amy is a documentary filmmaker, and so he wanted her to be likable and comfortable, but he wanted her to have a tomboyish style to fit her documentary job. So she has army jackets and pants are real short, and she has kind of a cholo look, but it's a comfortable look. And then his the character's ex-wife, she's a research scientist, and so that tells us how she's put together and well put together in her outfits. It reflects her success, and so it's a cooler look, but a more successful look. And so what you can see here with the bright palette that the main character has, and it works to make him contrasted to that kind of grayish future. It shows that the design is not contemporary because there are no denim, no belts, no ties. So it's just enough of a subtle difference to tell us that it's different, and yet not that much dramatically different, so you can actually believe it. So he doesn't do the cliche thing, but he does give us a future that is particularly that of her. And then he adds the peg pants, showing that there's this mixture of styles. The future is going to be a mixture of styles. Maybe the peg pants of the '60s with the no belt look, and then the open collar look and the high waist. All this is like a '60s mixed with the '70s, and all these different styles historically come together to be the future style. Here we can see he's playing with collars, and then finally you can kind of mesh it with the Star Trek look, but it's more like that relaxed workout look, giving her a particular look. So let's look at a different movie here. Let's look at Inception, Christopher Nolan's mind-bending sci-fi thriller. It's the wardrobe here is as intricate and forward-looking as its plot, because the movie talks about walking the line between fantasy and reality, and so you have to have a wardrobe that alternates between the subconscious dreamscapes and the real lucid world settings, and so the design has to take that in effect. So what we have to have the warm, rich hues of the real world and the cool, sterile palette of the different world. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's the cool, sterile palette of the real world against the warm, rich hues of the interior world, however you want to do it. You have to dress the actors to show that contrast. And here we have his style for Leonardo DiCaprio plays the film's central role of Dom Cobb. He's a professional thief in a dystopian world of corporate espionage. So he specializes in cutting secrets from his victims by infiltrating their dreams. And he's complex and intense, but his outfits through the film are carefully modeled so that his traits are highlighted. The subdued, understated, monochromatic look. He's got classic cuts, detailing of limited use of color, not too dissimilar throughout his palette. And what he does when he wants to add depth with this like navy plaid flannel shirt, it adds just enough to give it a difference, but it doesn't take away from that well-cut modern look. The brown leather bomber jacket look, of course, again, it's casual but very stylized. And so he's got this relaxed, rugged kind of outfit. It's going to be in a kind of a blazer-like look, a Brooks Brothers look. Now his efficient accomplice, Arthur, he's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's austere and solidly structured because this guy is the managerial guy. He's into planning everything. He's fastidious, and so his attention to details is much more to the corporate way. So if you can see in the beige suit, in the dark suit, it's sleek, it's slim fitting. It complements his business-like attitude and slight physique. But when he's without a shirt and tie and trying to be casual, you see he's got the soft tan leather jacket, the muted check shirt, relaxed trousers. It's still very stylized and relaxed. So he layers it so that it all has complementary colors, so it works as if he is very well to do. Now the forger of the team, who is the kind of he's the radical person in the whole triumvirate, and so he's going to be different. He's going to be riskier, and he's more nonchalant. So he has relaxed fits and casual cuts and patterns, elaborate patterns with his shirt. So he's got the open collar shirt and with the blazer, and he's got different textures put together in his ensemble and in his patterns. They're not overly attention grabbing, but they're still enough to set him apart. Okay, finally, let's look at a bunch of award-winning designers here. Let's look at these people that Hollywood Reporter had an article on recently. We start with Catherine Martin, who has won 2 Oscars for wardrobe, one in Moulin Rouge and one for Great Gatsby, since she's married to her husband, Baz Luhrmann, who directed both those movies. She has helmed the whole wardrobe department, and if you remember from The Great Gatsby, she's right on the just nose with the wardrobe that was Art Deco and very flashy, and so the gowns are body conscious, asymmetrical hemlines and iridescent kind of glitter to it. Wonderful wardrobe for them, and of course with the lead character Gatsby himself, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, she creates the wardrobe as part of the character to emphasize his character. So when Gatsby at the end of the movie is really in a conflict with Tom Buchanan, because Tom Buchanan comes from inherited wealth and Gatsby is a nouveau riche, and so there's this conflict where Buchanan is disparaging about the pink suit that DiCaprio is wearing, because he says this is a nouveau riche, flash in the pan, déclassé type of thing to do. And she researched and found out they did have pink suits back then. Brooks Brothers made them, so she made it part of the character in the film. Now here's a award-winning designer, Michael Wilkinson, who's done Tron and 300, Man of Steel, New Superman, all this. But his latest effort was David O. Russell's American Hustle movie, where he, of course, did the 70s. And what he did is design the wardrobe for people who are aspiring to be something. So he dressed them as what they were aspiring to be, almost like they were in, a camouflage or, a costume itself. And so he researched the period and, stocked up on all this vintage polyester to capture the era with all the dyes and fabrics. And then he took this vibrant coloring and he fitted it to the character. Like Christian Bale is this guy who's got the humble beginnings in the Bronx. He wants to be a sophisticated man of the world, so he cut it so that with the colors, it made him look that the cut was sophisticated, but the colors were still kind of nouveau riche. And with Amy Adams, she's in this era where there weren't any bras, basically, a few far between. So he had plummeting necklines in her outfits, but that meant they really had to watch monitor it all the time to make sure there weren't any wardrobe malfunctions. And but the key to the whole movie is finding the fabrics to remake the vintage styles, so that the sequin fabric and the polyester fabric could accentuate the physiques, whether they were lumpy or curvaceous. Here, Mary Zophres has worked on 12 Coen Brother movies, works on all movies. She does the wardrobe for him. And her latest movie, Inside Llewyn Davis, is set in a Greenwich Village in the 61. It's a kind of a folk music era movie. And so she has this one character, Oscar Isaac. He wears one outfit throughout the entire film. He's saying, well, maybe your job's easy. Well, it really isn't that easy, because all his outfit, which is a slouchy corduroy jacket, pants, gloves, muffler, hand-knit cardigan, scarf, all these had to be in multiples because he wore his costume for 45 days of shooting, so there's nothing that could have lasted the duration of the shoot. So she had to have multiples so the costume wouldn't wear out. And we have Trish Somerville, who did the punky garb for David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and now she's won a bunch of awards for The Hunger Games, and she's got Katniss Everdeen, Jennifer Lawrence's character, has got these ball gowns, and then she switches to Sarah Leather and moto jackets for Josh Hutcherson, and then she takes Alexander McQueen, an old designer who recently passed away, who's known for his outrageous wardrobes, and so these characters have wardrobes that look like trembling butterflies, and there's this mix and match that makes the grunge mix of Hunger Games so special. And David Orlandi here, our last gentleman, he's done from Frost Nixon to Da Vinci Code. He's done a whole number of award-winning movies. His latest one is Disney's Saving Mr. Banks, and it's a film about the antagonistic relationship between the congenial Walt Disney and the prickly author of Mary Poppins, P.L. Travers, who's played by Emma Thompson. She comes in from England in a nice tweed suit and overcoat, even though it's sunny California, and she's this suffer no fools kind of person. So the wardrobe is part of her armor. They wanted to have her clothes have strength, so tweed became her armor, and she has a big alligator purse that she clutches to her chest like a shield, and she has these silver bracelets that are amulets that ward off the Southern California influence of Disney and the rest, and so it becomes the motif throughout the whole movie and gives us a character defined just by the clothes she wears. And so you see with just the recent movies how each outfit here that we see, whether it's Piaf or it's Depp and Sweeney Todd, how quickly that character is established just by the outfit alone. The green dress, the emerald green dress, which is a fantastic outfit, and the Elizabethan hairdo and ruffle color, it all tells us exactly what period of time, whether it's Edwardian or Elizabethan, or Victorian with Sweeney Todd, or 1940s with Piaf. It's all very quickly done and quickly rendered by the excellent eye of the wardrobe designer.